couple stories. I have one. First, a dangerous one. Those are always fun to share. I remember about a week prior to this story, my companion and I had decided just to contact this whole street. The streets just run what it seems like forever, and we just contacted what we could for that day, just the whole street for that day. And we got quite a few lessons in that day and a ton of contacts. People said we could come back another time. And so about a week later, we were walking down that same street. We were a little further back than what we had contacted the week before. And this guy comes up walking next to me, and I'm just walking along. I'm not really thinking anything of it. And he turns to me and he's like, "Hey, do you have a cigarette?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a missionary. We don't smoke cigarettes." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, we're missionaries. We are representatives of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't do those kinds of things." And he's like, "Why do you got to be like that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I just want a cigarette. Just give me a cigarette." I'm like, "I don't have a cigarette." And at this point, I was a little thrown off. I was a little defensive. He felt like he was coming at me a little bit. And so I just tell my companion, "Okay, let's go to this door that we knocked last week." And she hadn't been able to accept us before. She said she was always busy, and she was always doing laundry or making tortillas. And so I was like, "Okay, well, we just got to get in somewhere because this is going to get out of hand soon." And so as we're walking, he just lifts up his shirt, and you can see he has a huge machete there. And I'm like, "I just pulled out the money for this month. I don't want to get robbed right now. Please, Heavenly Father, just let us in, get us somewhere that we are able to get in so we don't get robbed, so this money isn't taken, so my camera with all my pictures isn't taken." And so we knock on this door, and the lady, she comes out, and the guy with the machete is just hiding to the side. And so we start talking to her, and I think it was a miracle. She says that she has time to visit with us that day at that time, and she lets us in. And so we walk into her door, and so the guy with the machete to the side, he just looks at us and just starts laughing. He's like, "I'll see you guys another day." And so that was I don't know how dangerous it was of an experience. I don't know if he would have actually done anything, but it definitely felt dangerous to me. And I was grateful that the Lord was able to answer our prayers and let us get in, so nothing happened to us. And I was able to get out safe from anything that would have happened. And so that's always a fun story I like to share with people about Mexico. But other than that, Mexico, where I was, people respect the missionaries a lot. There aren't too many dangerous stories that I could tell. I know some people got robbed in my mission. Some of the missionaries did. But people do respect that you are on the Lord's errand and that you are trying to do the Lord's work. And most of the time they will be respectful to you, and you just got to be respectful to them back. A spiritual experience, I could share quite a few spiritual experiences here. There are obviously 2 years worth of spiritual experiences that I would be able to tell. I remember I was about 7 months into my mission when we were having, my companion and I, Elder Basan, he's from Mexico, and I were walking. We were having a really hard day, and we hadn't had any lessons that day. Had some contacts, but it was just really hard day. We had a member giving us rides around to lessons that we had set up and scheduled, and they were just falling through. And it was about 7 o'clock at night at this point, and I remember just feeling really discouraged, really thinking like, where are we supposed to go now? We don't have any more lessons. We can contact people, but it's already getting pretty late at night. Most of the people don't like to be contacted that late at night or have missionaries knocking on their door that late at night. And so we're thinking, let's just walk around, see if there's someone in the street we can help. We can find someone. We maybe do some service. We were just looking for whatever we could at that point. And so we had the member drop us off in the street. We were just going to walk around and see what we could find. And right where he dropped us off, about a block down, we're walking that way. We just see some people freaking out in a restaurant. And so we go in and we see there's a man on the floor and he's having a seizure. So we ask if we're able to give him a blessing, and they tell us that we are able to give him a blessing, that it won't do anything, it won't help out, but they tell us that if we really want to, we can give him a blessing. And so my companion looks at me and he says, "Do you want to give the blessing?" And I had about 7 months at that point. I wasn't super confident with my Spanish, and so I was like, I don't want to say anything to mess up the blessing or to make anything go bad. And so I'm like, "No, you can say it. You can do the blessing. It'll be better. I'll just do it with you though." And so we put our hands on his head as he's having the seizure. We don't know his name, so we just say, "By the power of the Melchizedek priesthood which we hold, we give you a blessing." And my companion starts giving the blessing. And I had never felt so much faith in my life. I know that I felt something right then. I just knew that something good was going to happen. I felt it, just a burning in my chest, and I knew that it was going to be all right, whatever happened. And so my companion is giving the blessing, and the instant he says amen, the man stops shaking, stops having a seizure, and is just completely normal again. He just stands right back up. Everyone's freaking out a little bit and asking what just happened, and he says he just feels fine after that. So that was a really spiritual experience for me. It was a big testimony builder, and it especially helped me to know that what is said in a blessing isn't super important. Obviously, you want to follow the words that the Lord gives you, that the Spirit tells you to say, but the real important things are the faith that you have and the action. Taking action is the most important thing you can do. When you get a prompting, when you feel like you should give someone a blessing, or when you feel any prompting, the most important thing you can do is act and then also have the faith. The Lord will bless us based on the faith that we have and the actions that we do. So that was a very spiritual experience for me, and what I was able to see the Lord do that day, that night, I guess, and to see his power and how he can help us, even if we aren't able to baptize that person that we help out or do anything like that. That was a huge testimony builder for me, to be able to take part in that miracle and to help someone else out. One of the biggest life lessons I learned in the mission was just to love everyone. I remember I got along really well with almost every missionary in my mission, and I would think about it often, about how weird it was, because looking at the missionaries, my companions, I got along super well with most of them. All the other missionaries, the mission president and his wife, I would think to myself, if I would have known some of these missionaries in high school, I probably wouldn't have interacted with most of them. But being here on the Lord's errand, we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to help other people. We're all here to help each other as missionary companions, as missionary acquaintances. We're here to help each other grow and to help ourselves grow as well. And so the biggest life lesson I took away from that was just to love everyone. Make sure you don't judge anyone based on what they do. Make sure you are always giving comfort and support to those people that need it most, and especially your companion and the other people in your district and zone. The best thing that can happen is to have a good relationship with your companion and with your district and zone, because that just makes the whole transfer go by a lot smoother. It makes everything a lot easier for you, and it makes it so you have the Spirit a lot more as well. If you get along with your companion, you can tell them if they're doing something wrong, and they won't get offended. You can take criticism from them, and you won't get offended. You can better yourself, and you can better your companion. You can see what it is that you need to improve on, and what it is they need to improve on, and what it is you need to improve on together. And if you can get along with your companion, then that just creates success. Success in your everyday life, in your missionary life, and success in the streets as well. People can tell when you have a good relationship. They can tell if you like each other. They can tell if you have the Spirit, and especially the people that aren't members, they can tell if two people are walking around that get along and are trying to do the right thing, or if two people aren't getting along and they're just kind of out there just to be out there. That's one of the biggest things that I could learn from my mission, is that in any relationship, you both have to put forth effort. You have to know what you are going to do. You have to make a plan. You have to be willing to compromise, and you have to be willing to do the right things as well. Even if it's hard, even if you have to tell someone that they are doing something wrong, you have to do it in a loving way, and you have to be willing to take criticism as well. And that's one of the biggest life lessons that I could learn from any relationship, and it stems from the companionship. Your companionship from the very beginning until the very end of your mission, every companionship will be different, and you'll have to learn how to interact with each companion. You'll have to learn how to treat them, how to talk to them, how to criticize them, and everyone is completely different. So it's a great experience to be able to learn those things and to be able to take those into your life after the mission as well.